Are you a college student who wants to create a business of his own? Or are you a working professional doing job somewhere, but at some corner of the heart you want to start something of your own? If yes, then do watch today's episode. In this episode, I have talked with Mili Shah, the co-founder of InfoCubic Software Solutions. In this episode, we discussed about how is the life of an entrepreneur. What are the things that one should keep in mind if he or she wants to start a business of his own? What are the difficulties that one may face while starting something of his own? So, in order to know all these things, watch this episode. Hello, friends. Welcome to the new episode of Wisdom Decoded. And today we have with us Mili Shah. Mili is the co-founder of a startup called InfoCubics. Welcome to Wisdom Decoded.
Thank you so much, Nakul. Thank you so much for having me. Hope we are going to have an amazing section ahead.
Definitely. So I was in the third year of my engineering and I had participated in an elocution competition in my college. So we all participants were waiting in a class for someone to come and instruct us about what to do further. So at that time, a girl entered and started giving instructions to all the participants and started calling out their names that this is the structure of the entire competition and strictly instructed everyone to be disciplined. And it was none other than Mili. So it was my first encounter with her in my third year of engineering.
Yeah.
So after that, we met at another competition.
We had amazing time in our college days.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we had so many elocution competition, debate. Even you were so much participative in all the things. In youth festival, I guess.
We quite share some similar interests.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Mili, my first question to you would be, so when you were in college, at that time only you had decided that later in life I would start something of my own, or it was none at that time?
Okay. So while you're in college, you're always thinking like you have some amazing life going. You have friends, and then afterwards there is some tension going on because you have to go for the interviews. So at that moment, it is just like go with the flow. All of the friends are going for the interview, so let us also go. We'll see what happens. We don't know where we are going to land, but it's just like let's give it a shot. So at that time, it was the same ideology I had, which you all people did have, that yeah, let's go for job, let's see what happens, because college atmosphere is different and the industrial experience is different. So both are very opposite. So in college, I had never thought I would do a startup or any such thing. But eventually I did landed on a job. I gained experience. Okay. Then afterwards, again, I switched my job. Even I switched my designation. Earlier, I was in business department. Then afterwards, I was a lecturer in Christ College, and then later on I was in operations department. So it was all the three different things which I had gone for. Then after that, I thought that this is going to be the same scenario in the future. Okay. Maybe there would be growth, there would be increment in salary, but let's not have something of our own. Why not to start something that is of my own? And why won't I just bring it into another level, just as I was working in these different firms? So yeah, at that time I thought, then obviously this corona came, the lockdown came, the scenario was entirely different what it was there. So yeah, afterwards I thought that instead of going, this is going to be the same thing, same day, same role, same situation, with meeting with same people. Why don't we do something different, something out of the box? So yeah, at that time I thought that go for something that is of our own.
So when you're in college, there was nothing in the back of the mind that one day you will start something like this, right?
So like to be very honest, at some point I had thought that maybe in the future, if I got a chance, because you don't know what are the circumstances in the future, what is going to happen, you have no idea. So at the end I had a thought that if possible, then maybe even if it's a little, even if it's a drop in the ocean, then also I will do something of my own, even if I have to continue the job or something. So at some point I had a thought, but I never thought that it would turn out to be good one or like planned out systematically and everything. No, that wasn't the case. It was just like, a spark that this could be done, but it can be or something. That was nothing, never.
So can I say that COVID-19 acted as a catalyst for you for starting this thing?
Okay, catalyst, not in the starting, but in changing the mindset for sure. Okay, it definitely changed the mindset about of the future, about what you are going to do, and it also helped for me to get a direction that this is just going to go. The job is going to continue for the whole life. When you are going to get a chance to do it. So yeah, the things were slow during the lockdown. The things were slow. So why not start now instead?
You left your job before COVID or during this lockdown period?
It was like the beginning of the lockdown at that time.
Okay.
So that was the case. So it helped me a little, but we'll see how it eventually turns out. So office was being a monotonous for me for sure. And that's why I thought that instead of this is going to continue. So instead of continuing the job life, let's disconnect it and do something of our own. Because what happens, like when you have a plan in your mind, okay, that you want to start something. Now after 10 years, after 10 or 20 years, when you think of starting and you think of taking the first step for this startup, it would be very hard for you to grow. And once, because it takes time in growing, it takes time to reach a level, where you get when you have a social presence, when you have a presence in the market. So that consumes a lot of time. So that's why I thought instead of starting after 10 years, why not start it now?
Yeah.
So that was the case.
Okay. So were your parents okay with it, or was it difficult to convince that? Because in Indian society, it's like when we try to start something of my own, so it's quite difficult to convince parents.
Yeah. Okay. So in that case, my parents, because see, I belong from a business family. My father is a businessman. So at some point they were convinced that it's okay, because they know how they have faced, because in the beginning it's always difficult for anything, whether it's a business or a startup. So they were convinced a little that it is going to be hard, okay, for this to come up, for this to come into a level. So they were convinced a little. Instead, you are giving 8 hours, 9 hours to a job. Why don't you give it for your own work? So that was the case. So yes, they were okay with it.
Okay. So let's say someone is doing a job or a person is in college. So when should he or she decide that let's do a startup?
Okay. So in the college, I think that even there is a little hope, or even if it's a little thought in your brain that I want to do something of my own. Well, it doesn't matter at what duration. Maybe in college, maybe while we are doing a job or something. Even if you have that, no, I can do this. Then yes, start planning from that now. It's okay if it takes 5 years, another 5 years down the lane to set up the stuff and everything. But if you have a thought, then try to execute it little by little, because all these stuff take time. While you're implementing, executing your plans, it is going to consume a lot of time. So yes, it is a time consuming thing, but at the end it is definitely going to give you better results, better outcomes than you are doing the job. So if you have any plans of starting up or have to establish your own business, you can start thinking eventually. Even if it's in college, then go for it, definitely. Even if you're in a second year student, then just think, how will you execute it? Just plan it, okay? Then go in the market, gain some experience, see how it goes in the market, okay? Then try to analyze the stuff, and then when you think that no, my plans have been set, okay, and now I have a clear idea about how I'm going to do it, about what I'm going to do it, then definitely go for the execution step, okay? So while you're executing, again, you have your clear plans in your mind, right? So execute it step by step. Again, when it reaches to a level, leave your job, leave whatever you're going, and focus completely on what you actually have to do, right? So you have created a base, you have created a foundation. Okay, so once you have laid the foundation, go for it and execute it entirely and focus on it completely. So yeah, planning requires a lot of time, so start planning as early as possible, and then when it feels right to you, you can start executing.
Hmm. So after college, you did job for 1 or 2 years, right?
Yeah, I can say 1.5 year almost,
Yeah.
and it took me 2 years to get a clear idea, to get a clear direction about, yes, now let's focus on this entire.
Did those 1 or 2 years help you to get an idea like how to start these things or how the market is functioning and all those things? So would it be advisable for someone that first of all you should do some internships or job for 1 or 2 years and understand the market, and after that once you have a clear idea then you can go on that way?
Mhm. Definitely, I would suggest that you definitely should go for a job for at least a year, so that you can know how the actual company works, what are the different categories in it, how the execution is done in different departments, so you can get a clear idea, a clear way that how it works. So it is necessary. I would definitely suggest that one should go, and not only that, when you are into it, when you are into job, think, how can I improve this system? Okay, think on how will I implement, or how will I do this stuff, so that this entire functioning can become more smoother, more better. So yes, while you're thinking, you will eventually get your answers. Many things I've learned while I was doing job. There were certain, I didn't knew how to communicate with the clients, because when you're talking, like we both are talking, and that is something different. And while you're communicating with the client, that is different. There are so many etiquettes that you have to go in the market, you have to gain experience, so that you can learn from that and implement it in your own.
So now let's come to your startup journey. So can you tell that what is your startup currently and what do you people do?
Okay, so basically the name of our startup is InfoCubics Software Solutions. Basically, we are three people currently, and all of the three have a different expertise in different domain. For example, I'm handling the entire business portion, while the others would be handling the technical portion, the execution, and everything. So that was the case. As the name suggests, info means information and technology, and cubics means three. So the three people who have founded, so that is the actual meaning of info cubics. And talking about what we are working on, for example, if there is a small business, for example, if there is a person who has a departmental store, or let's say a garment store, okay, then what would be their stand on social media? What would they wouldn't have, they would just have oral transmission or advertisement stuff. So what they could come to us, we also do business consulting. So if you have nothing in mind, if you are blank, then you can come to us, you can tell what do you want, and we'll help you out. We'll analyze different cases, we'll help you out. This could be the best solution for you. Let's talk about the garment store, right? So the owner would come to us, and they'd say that we want something uh, that we could give to our customers, so that they can buy from their own house. So what we can help is that we can build a website from there, or an Android application. For example, how applications you have, like of Amazon or Flipkart, right? That is nothing but an e-commerce applications. So they can come to us, we can develop an application in which the products that would be listed would be of their own. So what the customers can do, they can shop from their own home.
Okay, so basically we can say that suppose if there's a traditional business and a person wants to grow his business using or leveraging social media or internet, then the person will come to you and you will help the customer in
Yeah.
every way.
Yeah.
So how to find the founders for your startup?
Okay, that is a difficult question, I'd say. Okay, so
Let me tell you, if you are there, you can make family like relation or complete 100% trust is there. between you and the other person. Like, there can be difference of opinions, but
Exactly. Okay, so let me be very clear. First of all of the three know each other. Like they were of our same college, but different departments, and I know them very well. But we did go to our own paths after the college end. So the first thing is that when you are finding anyone to work with, try to go that the ones who have the same mindset as you. If you are not able to talk with them freely, or if you are not able to convey your message, or if they are not convinced by your work or by your any methods, then it would be very difficult for you at the further stage. At initial stage, everything would look fine, but the later on, the problems would arise. Based on that, you should have your own direction, and all of them should go into that direction. It isn't that I have certain idea in mind, now let me implement this, and others don't know it. That shouldn't be the case. Everything should be transparent between all the members. Okay, and like it should be a group decision, not a single person's decision. So that should be the case.
Yeah. So can you highlight some of the difficulties that a person may face when he decides to start a startup or build a startup of his own?
Yes, the first thing the first big question is, how will you find the clients? That
Ah.
is the bigger question, because if there is no one to buy something from you, then what is the meaning of what you are doing, right? In the
So
market.
why should be clear that why people should buy from you, and why are you
Yeah,
starting the startup in the first place?
that should also be clear, yes. And even if you are doing it, then how will you do it? That should also be clear, that how we are going to execute it. So it is always going to be a learning phase while you are doing a startup. So it isn't okay, I have started my something of my own and it's done. No, it is never. It is difficult than the job. It is harder than that. Maybe you have to work 11 hours, 10 hours more than the job, but yes, you should love what you are doing. Even if someone tells you to sit for 24 hours and do what you're doing, then you should be able to do that. That is the case. So yes, you should be very clear with your own goals, why you are doing this, and how you are going to implement it. These two things are clear, then it would be easy. The later processes would be easier for you to execute and implement it. So it will go in a smoother way.
Hmm. So as it said that every change is difficult in the beginning, messy in the middle, but
Yes.
great at the end.
Great in the end, yes.
So one should not discontinue some a startup or something,
Uh,
an idea.
yeah.
Yeah, just
Yes.
thinking like
Yes.
I failed once, so it's not
Hmm.
for me. Because when
Hmm.
you are learning to walk, you might have fall for
Hmm.
many times. What if you had
Hmm.
thought at that time, probably this is not for
Uh,
you?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and for entrepreneurs, it's not about money, it's about inner satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly. And like mistakes are the things that is going to help you grow. The more mistakes you make, the more you know it, that these aren't the stuff I'm not supposed. How you just check down in the list, like this isn't the stuff.
So as you said that the initial time is going to be quite tough for all the
Yeah,
people who are going to start
yeah.
something of their own.
Start.
So can you share some one two tips for the listeners, like when they are in the initial phase? So what should they do during this time? So one or two hacks from your side.
Okay. So when you decide that, yeah, you want to go for a startup, then there are so many questions in you. What will you do?
Yeah.
How? First thing, you don't get a direction. In which direction shall I go? Shall I go for this particular, or shall I go for this idea? Even
Yeah.
if you are having an idea and if you want to implement it, then it's not an easy task. There would be so many confusions. There would be so many things that will be whirling in your brain that eventually you'll get confused. That what shall I do? So that's the major thing. You should have a direction, and once you get the direction, you have to stay on that. Okay, so you should not have like fluctuating mindset. Okay, I'm doing this now, let's go for another. So yeah, so once you do startup, then you can't have a thinking that now let's go for a job. So that is not the thing. Once you are going in a direction, go for it. Okay, even no matter how hard it is, it will be definitely hard. Like for 6 months or a year, just don't expect anything. Don't expect any sort of capital income or anything, any
Yeah.
growth or anything. 6 months, just concentrate on what you are doing, and just go for it. You are doing because you are loving that. Okay, so at the end I would say that whatever you do, whether it's a job, whether it's a startup, whether if it's your own business or anything, you should be doing what you love the most. Okay, it should not be that I'm spending 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, and at the end of the day I'm just doing it for the money, just for the sake of the money. I don't have any interest, or I'm not into it, or whatever. Okay, so just don't go for something because others are going, or because there is a lot of money or income in that. Just on for the sake of that, don't go for it. Do what you love the most, and at the end, even if there is no return, you should be enjoying the most whatever you are doing. So whenever a client comes, or whenever someone comes to get your services or product, the first thing they will ask that, show me the reviews, show me your previous work or previous things that you have done. So what would I suggest is, if you are going in this IT field or something, then try to make something of your own. Even no one is using, you can show that thing. Even if no one is using it, okay, if no one is
Kind
doing
of
it,
a
you can at
demo.
least show, yeah, kind of a demo you can show. And even if you'll give it to your friends, you can like go to your friends and ask for their advice. How can I make this better? What do you think that it could be easier, that so that the entire application can be user friendly and you would love to use it. So why, see, give me an example. Like, there are many e-commerce applications in the market, many,
Yeah.
but the ones that are using frequently are Amazon and Flipkart, which I know. Why is that happening? Why the other applications are not used in compared to the this? So you should analyze the cases, how, why this one is better than the other, what gives, what Amazon and Flipkart gives that isn't available, or which isn't given by the other application. So you should analyze the case. You should ask for the feedbacks.
So two things that I can understand from your answer is, first thing, the feedback is very important. Like, you should focus on getting the feedback from your friends or your family ones, right? Because feedback
Yes.
is something that has also helped me a lot when I was in the initial stage, and figuring out how to do all these things, which software to use, and all those things.
Yes.
And my friends have helped me a lot. So first thing, you should focus on feedback of your initially friends or whomsoever person that you are in contact with. And the
Yeah.
second question that, one thing that I would like to know is, you said that communicating with clients is also one of the important things. Like, you should be able to express and explain them, in a right manner. Like, why should they buy something from you, or why should they come to you? So, can we say that communication is also, necessary part?
Yes, it is definitely the main part if you are in a business team. And not only that, even if you're in technical portion, communication is required, because you have to communicate with the business team eventually to know their ideas, right? So
Yeah.
communication is definitely important. And what I would suggest, that you should develop communication skills. You should participate. If you are in college time is such that you get ample of opportunities for
Yes.
everything. You should know how to utilize them. I have seen many people, they get opportunities, but either they are not interested, or they don't know, they just don't utilize it. Like, for example, take ours example. We had so many elocutions, so many
Yeah.
debates and all this stuff. We had participated, that's why we are able to communicate. We did develop, we did knew where we stand. Like, if we are going to communicate with a first client, then definitely it's not going to definitely they are not going to get convinced. But
Yeah.
it's okay, you are learning. You're going to learn after, like, if five of them are going to deny it, still don't stop. Go for it. Eventually you will know how to do, because you have made the mistakes for the last 5 times, so you know how I'm going to do it in sixth time.
Yeah, so initially, even for the first 2, 3 times you make some mistake, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, because you
Yeah.
are learning. Mistakes are what makes you, helps you to learn.
So the Romans also lost a lot of battles before they won the empire.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of my other friends who also has a startup, one of the hacks that he uses is, like, suppose he has made something product, so he tries to first of all sell those products to his family or the people in his
Near ones.
society.
Yeah,
If
exactly,
he's able to
exactly. That's
convince them, then he's
huh.
confident, like, he'll also be able
Yes,
to.
convince
Sell
the
it in the
clients.
market.
Yes. Hmm.
And you should also be ready to get a critical feedback from someone. Like you showed your product to someone, and the person says that, oh,
Yes.
what useless thing this is.
Yes, they will definitely going to say criticism is what people like the most, instead of praising them.
Yeah.
Criticism, yeah. But you know what, how you should take it, see what goes, why there is a miscommunication. At one point the one person would be the aggressive one,
Mm.
right? So if a client doesn't get what he wants, he would become aggressive, that what have you given me, I wasn't expecting. But at that point of time, you have to remain calm and try to absorb what he's saying. Just stay calm and say, okay, I understand, if needed, do apologize. And at the end, so yes, you learned from that flaw, you learned it from that mistake, that if this wasn't there, then it could have been better. So yes, you have to be ready to get negative feedback or negative impression from the client. It's just, a stepping stone to make it more better. It is like, changing its direction. These things would change your direction into the right one. So yeah.
So, according to me, a person should start a startup not when he's thinking, "Okay, chalo, let's start something of my own," but he should start it like when he's not able to think anything else about, no, now I cannot do the job. I have to start something of my own. Then only when you reach that stage, after that stage only you should, think of starting something of your own.
Yes, but if you have a little thought in your mind that I want to do it, then just plan it before this thing. So what I would suggest, that just even if it's little, just give some thoughts on it.
You have an idea, then you should start nurturing it. You should start looking
Yes.
for opportunities, like what you can do, what other people in your domain are doing. But you should not, quit your job directly. You should do all these things along
Things,
with your
yeah.
job. And when you start seeing
Exactly.
some revenue, like now, okay, now I can survive on the side business, then you
Yes,
can quit your
exactly.
job and make it the main thing.
Yes, exactly. Initially, you have to do the things parallelly. If you have an idea, don't think that what happens if I fall, but what happens if you fly. So
Right.
that is the case.
So we talked about the difficulties that one can face during the startup, like a lot of mental pressure, or the kind of less business in the beginning, how to find clients. But now we can, I think that we should also discuss about the perks of startup. That once something is established, when you start seeing some results. So can you highlight some of the perks of building a home startup?
Okay. Okay. So while you are doing a job, you have to only work how much it's told to you. Okay. But while you are doing a startup, you have to handle from the beginning till the end. So it has a different charm of knowing all the things, of knowing all the levels of the project, from getting a client, convincing it, developing the project, getting your own putting your own ideas into it, and then delivering this stuff. While doing a startup, what you know is the whole picture, just not a small drop, right? So that is the one good thing, because while what I haven't learned from 2 years when I was in the industry, I have learned just in 2 months while doing a startup. Because over here you have to handle from the beginning till the end. So there are a lot of things, there would be a lot of burden, but you should know how to handle these burdens. And the second thing is that you face many challenges. So if you are a person, if you are an adventurous person who loves to face challenges, then you should go for a startup. You will have, and eventually definitely find a solution at the end. So that is the tricky part, how to find a solution to a problem. Because you know what happens, you have to fix everything in a small box. So that is the thing, that you may be asked for so many things, but you have to wrap this entire things into a small functioning project. But from these challenges, from these things, you will eventually make the things better. You will find many different things, many things that are out of the box. So that is also the best part. So yes, you should be adventurous, you should be curious, and you should always be a learner. If you have these qualities, then yes, you can easily do this stuff.
And one thing I would like to add is the inner satisfaction that you get when you're doing something of your
Yes,
own.
definitely. Yeah, that has a different charm. Getting the inner satisfaction, telling others that this is my own, even if it's small,
Ah,
even if it's matters nothing to others, but that is a different charm that this is
ah.
mine and this is what I am doing.
Like the
So
other
yes,
day we were talking and you were telling me that while traveling also you were, working not because you were supposed
exactly,
to, but because you love to.
exactly. Yeah, definitely the
Ah.
deadline.
The one difference that I can tell is if you're doing a
Mm.
job and you're working on weekends, it's because you are told to. And if you're
You
an
are
entrepreneur,
forced to over here. Yeah, you're forced to do this, but
and if you're an entrepreneur and you're working on weekends, it's because you love to.
love to. Definitely, that is the case.
Okay, and so now the last question, any tips from your side to the entrepreneurs or
Okay.
young listeners who are thinking to start something of their own or who have some idea or at some corner of their heart, like I should start something of my own.
Okay. So if you are very well known that I want to start something, start practicing it, start planning it very now at the beginning. Even if you are doing job, it's okay. Along with your job, you can start planning a little. If you get time on the weekends, then maybe you can consume a little. That's fine. Okay, so do the things parallel initially. So over here, what I would suggest is that just don't leave the job just because you don't like it or something. Try to lay a foundation, try to create a background or something. After that, when it's time to upgrade more, or when it would require a lot of time, at that point of time you just quit your job and afterwards focus entirely on this. Secondly, I would say that during the college, okay, consume the time that you have in your college. Those are the golden time. You do enjoy, at the same time you do utilize the time and the activities and everything. So
Yeah,
when
and
you're getting the time,
during the college time, you should also, try to learn the skill set that you know that it will help you for doing that the
hmm,
thing that you want to
hmm,
do. Because it's a golden time
exactly.
that those 3 or 4 years, during that you
Uh,
don't have that much load. So you can easily develop the
hmm.
skill set.
Exactly, and because that is the only time while you are having the most of the time. Because after the college, it isn't possible for you to spare the time. Yes, and the third thing that while starting, the most difficulty which I had faced is finding the name, then
Hmm.
creating the foundation, finding people. That is the thing. So the first step should be the right step, because initially what it's done, whatever the name is, whatever the people you are working with, and once you have finalized the entire draft of the company, or you have finalized these are the perspectives that I'm going to work on, you cannot change it in the future.
Hmm.
So take your most of the time in doing these things, but do it perfectly so that in the future these stuff cannot be changed. So take some time, but plan it and then
Hmm.
execute it. Later
So
on, it would
you
be
should have
very
a
much
rough
easier.
roadmap of how you are going
Yeah.
to do entire thing. It may not
Yes.
be perfect at that time, but you should
Hmm.
definitely have a rough idea that what you are
Yes, you
going to
should.
do.
Exactly. Once you have a rough idea, it would be very easy to execute it and
Hmm.
go in that direction or that way. But if you are blank, how am I going to start? Then you
Hmm.
won't be able to do it.
So it's not the
So
correct
don't.
time.
So it is not the correct thing. But if you are doing the job and if you feel that now I don't want to do it would have been very late at that time to start something, to give time for that stuff.
Hmm.
So there are different options, but you should do something that you love the most, and you should have faith that it's okay. It would turn out great one day.
Yeah.
So yeah, there has been many ups and downs from the college, then job, and the startup and everything. But eventually, at the end, think positively that at the end, it's going to get settled down and everything is going to be all right.
Got it. So
Mm.
thank you, Willie, for sharing this
So
wonderful knowledge with the listeners.
thank you for having me. Hope I have helped. And even if in future, if anybody is going for startup, or if anyone needs help, then you can definitely contact me. I'll be happy to help you out.
Definitely, I'll be linking all your handles
Mm.
in the description.
Sure thing.
And thank you. We had a wonderful time.
Thank you so much.